tariffs when President Trump took office for the second time. And this is how much the country is making now.
You know, we're finding hundreds of billions of dollars of cash is pouring into our country now.
He's right. The U.S. is making quite a bit of money, just not nearly enough to pay for some of Trump's ambitious goals.
Most of the tariff revenue are going to be paid by importers. It's simply a question then, how much of that do they pass on to consumers?
So how does the U.S. collect the billions it rakes in through tariffs? And what does it do with all of that money? First, let's take a look at how much the country is making. According to the Penn-Wharton budget model, the U.S. has collected more than $159 billion in tariff revenue as of early September. That's a 148% increase compared to a year ago, and $642 million per day from tariffs. While Trump has claimed the U.S. has made trillions through tariffs, that's not totally accurate. Yet.
That gap will continue to grow throughout the rest of the year. We're ultimately projecting starting next year and for the next 10 years that the government will collect about $2.9 trillion in revenue. But of course, those could change.
That's because Trump's tariffs are still under negotiation, and that's made predicting future demand difficult for U.S. importers. And less demand could eventually mean less tariff revenue.
We've seen pretty wild swings in import volumes at US seaports this year. Ground zero for that has been Southern California. That's where you have this twin port complex, the Port of Los Angeles and the Port of Long Beach.
Take China, for example. When the Trump administration raised tariffs on Chinese goods to 145% in April, imports at the Port of Los Angeles plunged.
For May, there were about 655,000 containers handled at the port complex that month, which sounds like a lot, but was actually the lowest cargo volumes for about 2 years.
When the U.S. reduced those tariffs to 30% in May while negotiations played out,
we saw another flood of cargo into the port complex, such that in July, the port complex broke a record and handled more than 1 million boxes in a single month.
Now let's take a second to discuss how these tariffs are collected. Say a container worth of goods is exported from another country. Before it's sent to the U.S., the importer files paperwork with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection with details about what's coming. Once that shipment arrives, CBP reviews the paperwork before clearing the goods for release and records exactly when the cargo hit U.S. soil. The imports will then often move to a warehouse for storage, and at that point, it's the importer who has 10 to 30 days to pay the tariff.
In those cases where importers have been having to pay higher tariff rates to bring goods into the country, we've seen a whole slew of actions that they've taken, from talking to their suppliers about trying to drive down the rates of the goods that they've bought, asking suppliers